Jin is a young man with no one in the world except his grandfather, who suddenly disappeared. He wanted to find him by any means possible, so he decided to join the Legend of High School tournament, which gathers the world's strongest talents. The winner would have any wish they desired fulfilled. However, an evil organization interfered with the competition to change the balance of power in the world. We cut to two men on an island speaking with the Prime Minister, whose name is revealed to be Park Moo-jin. They blackmail him with scandals they hold against him to extort money. Afterward, a bespectacled man turns on the news and vows to make Moo-jin understand who truly holds the country's reins. Suddenly, the weather changes, and something attacks them. Meanwhile, Moo-jin asks his secretary about the latest updates, stating they must act quickly as time is running out. The following day, a plane heads to the island, where the climatic anomaly occurred, but the pilot is shocked upon seeing a symbol marked on the island. We then see an elderly man speaking to his grandson Jin, who is standing in tears. The grandfather tells him to wipe his tears, set goals, and attend school to gain the knowledge that could transform his life. He urges him to make lots of friends. Shortly after, Jin wakes up late for school. He grabs his bicycle and speeds off, almost colliding with a girl and falling. But he manages to balance himself and land safely. On a bus, students are watching the Legend of High School tournament, excited for the new season. In a supermarket, a young man named Han finishes his shift. Counting his paycheck, he realizes he needs to take on multiple jobs to earn the money he needs. Elsewhere, a group of muscular teens is furious about not qualifying for the Legend of High School tournament. They suspect something shady, as unfamiliar names were included on the selection committee. While lamenting their loss, a girl named Mira approaches them, saying she's lost and asking for directions to the arena. The boys are instantly smitten and rush to help her. As they chat, she comments on their impressive physiques, prompting them to flex and try to impress her. Returning to Jin, he passes a thief snatching an old woman's wallet. Imagining how desperately she might need the money, Jin decides to chase the thief. Along the way, he passes a street performer rapping live on social media. The rapper notices Jin's determination and starts following the chase. The thief, shocked by Jin's persistence, tries to lose him, but Jin sticks to him like a shadow. Even when the thief climbs a bridge, Jin follows on his bike. He almost catches him but accidentally crashes into Mira, breaking her glasses. She gets angry and hits Jin, but he explains he's chasing a thief who stole from an old woman. Mira decides to join him in recovering the money. They pass by Han, who is watching the rapper's livestream. The rapper performs for the old woman, raising awareness about her stolen money. Just as Jin is about to catch the thief, he escapes again. Refusing to give up, Mira leaps at the thief but ends up clinging to a billboard. At that moment, Han, who had learned of the situation from the rapper, knocks the thief out. Jin's effort finally pays off. Later we arrive at the Keoraj Arena, where the preliminaries for Seoul's Legend of High School tournament will take place. Jin, Han and Mira are among the participants. Mira demands that Jin pay for her glasses, but Han jokes she should charge the thief instead. They start getting to know each other. Suddenly, they're called to the arena. The host explains that anyone can join this mixed martial arts competition, where no weapons or attack limits exist. To win, one must deliver a knockout or force their opponent to surrender. The preliminaries will determine who deserves to compete in the tournament. As participants enter the arena, Jin, Han, and Mira prepare, though Jin is visibly starving. The host reveals that wristbands will monitor vital signs and provide emergency medical aid during the battles. The winner from the city will have any wish granted by the tournament organizers. Shockingly, the host announces the battles will begin immediately without a fixed schedule or individual matchups. It's survival of the fittest! Meanwhile, Moo-jin enjoys watching the chaos. Han and Mira take down anyone who approaches them, while Jin is underestimated. Yet, anyone who confronts him is quickly defeated. The officials note that everything is proceeding as planned, though the participants haven't revealed their full strength. Suddenly, someone receives a call and announces the arrival of the strongest contender. As he enters the arena, he defeats everyone in his path. Mira attacks him but loses her sword. Though she manages a strong blow, her strikes soon prove ineffective. Jin also tries to engage but is thrown aside. Jin, determined, shouts, "Show me what you've got!" and charges at him. We move to a military facility, where one soldier wonders about the strange signs on the island, joking, "Did King Kong appear on the island, or what?" But two others are certain that Cherryoak powers are behind the incident. Suddenly, an alarm goes off because someone has breached the facility, and when he enters, he introduces himself as Park Mujin. Meanwhile, back at the arena, the participants are taking a break, and the organizers are asking if Mujin has returned. One of them confidently states, "I'm sure he'll finish his task quickly and return before the competition ends." Later that day, Mira is heading home angrily. Jin follows behind her, teasing, "Are you sure you're not a gorilla? Why did you do that to me?" It turns out that during Jin's attack on the boy, Mira accidentally broke Jin's neck. On their way, Mira snaps at Jin and Han, "Why are you two following me?" Han replies, "This is the way to my house." Back at the competition, Jin complains to Mira, "Why did you break my neck?" "I was just trying to retrieve your sword," Mira responds. "I thought it was you because I can't see without my glasses." Later that night, Jin, Han, and Mira are out together. Jin asks them why they're competing in the tournament. Jin explains, "For me, I just want to fight strong people to become stronger. Han shares I need money, so I joined." Mira explains her goal, to revive my family's swordsmanship style. Jin then teases her, "If your family has such a special technique, how did someone take your sword from you?" Mira replies, "That's because I wasn't wearing my glasses." Jin reassures her, "Don't worry, I got your sword back." But Mira, upon seeing the sword, gets upset, and in her frustration, Jin accidentally drops it into the river. She slaps him, then jumps into the water to retrieve it. As she searches for the sword, Mira recalls her father giving her the blade and asking her to protect it and find an heir to share it with. Jin joins her in the search, apologizing and promising they won't leave until they find it. Han brings large flashlights to help them look. The next day, the preliminary rounds continue at the arena. We learn that the winner will qualify for the National High School Legend Tournament, where champions from all over the country will compete for the title and a wish of their choice. The top-ranked contestant is a Tai Chi practitioner named Gu. Later, a bully approaches Jin, planning to hit him while he's asleep. Gu intervenes, saying, "This isn't the arena for you to touch him." The bully slaps Gu, but Jin catches him before he falls, advising him, "Don't drop your guard when dealing with strangers." At the arena, Mira faces off against a fighter named Dae Chul and easily wins. Jin then faces a competitor named Beast and defeats him effortlessly. The preliminary matches continue, with Han also securing a victory in his bout. During a break, Gu approaches Jin to thank him for helping earlier. At that moment, it's announced that Gu will face the bully Kang in the next match. Jin warns Gu, "Be careful. Kang is really strong." Gu replies, "Don't worry, I'm not afraid of him. The only thing I fear is losing the battle of wills to someone like him." In their match, Gu lands a powerful strike on Kang, following up with rapid punches that nearly push Kang out of the arena. Kang regains his footing, complements Gu's move, and attacks. However, Gu proves much stronger, forcing Kang to use his full strength. Kang attempts to break Gu's neck using a taekwondo move, but Gu focuses his chai to counter the attack. Kang resists and starts beating Gu, demanding an apology. Gu refuses and recalls a moment when his life was at stake, begging someone for forgiveness. Fueled by this memory, Gu retaliates fiercely, vowing to tear Kang apart unless he begs for mercy. At that moment, Jin intervenes, striking Gu and declaring, "I won't let you hurt him." When Kang attacks Jin, Jin hurls him away. The organizers step in, accusing Jin of breaking the rules by interfering. Suddenly, Kang unleashes a strange energy, recalling how he was once weak until someone offered him the power he desired. However, after his training, they doubted his ability to use Cherryoke. Infuriated, Kang attacks Jin with a powerful move that nearly destroys the arena. Jin counters, but he's suddenly thrown to the ground by Park Mujin's immense power. Mujin, the tournament's administrative head, announces that Jin violated the rules and will be punished, but the tournament will continue as planned. As Jin leaves, the crowd cheers for him. We see the leader of a secret society declaring that they must find the key that will grant them all their desires. Meanwhile, at a meeting of tournament organizers, it's revealed that Gyu sustained severe injuries and cannot continue, and Kang's condition has also worsened. Both are out of the tournament because of Jin's interference, which violates the rules and should lead to Jin's disqualification. However, after reviewing Jin's file, Mujin believes Jin may be the one they're searching for. Back at the arena, Mira faces Mason, who taunts her before the match, suggesting she find a better weapon than her wooden sword. This angers Mira, who attacks but is surprised by Mason's immense strength, which nearly destroys the arena. Mason, a professional wrestler, declares, "I came here to achieve my dream of having many servants." Mason counters all of Mira's attacks and mocks her efforts. Enraged, Myra nearly splits Mason in half with her bare hands. She finally uses a powerful move to defeat Mason, earning the crowd's cheers. Jin and Han are proud of their friend. Afterward, Mujin approaches Jin, saying he'll be allowed to compete if he defeats their delegate Kim. Jin refuses, demanding to fight the blonde instead. Kim retorts, "I'm stronger than him," prompting Jin to accept the challenge, but requests Kim remove his glasses to avoid breaking them. Kim strikes Jin with tremendous force, revealing he was once one of the tournament's strongest participants, and now works for the organizers. Mujin announces that their fight will take place the next day, in front of everyone at the arena. That night, Mira and Han walk home together. Mira worries Jin might get disqualified and says he shouldn't have recklessly intervened in someone else's match. Han, on the other hand, is intrigued by Jin's strength. Jin joins them, carrying fruit given to him by Mujin to help him recover for tomorrow's fight. Jin explains everything to them, but Mira doubts his chances, calling his recklessness dangerous. Jin responds, "I live by my grandfather's advice, do what you believe is right, no matter the consequences." Meanwhile, Mujin is warned by someone, that fruit has been locked away for a reason. We don't know what might happen if someone eats it. As they speak, Jin eats the mysterious fruit. Moments later, he collapses, coughing up blood. The next morning, Han is with his close friend, whom he considers a brother, who is battling cancer. They enjoy the sunrise view of the city, and Han tells him about a strange guy he met who reminds him of his friend. His friend teases, "So you think I'm weird?" They laugh together. Later, at work, Han is bullied by some coworkers who mock him, saying, "We never thought someone like Han would end up working here." They throw trash at him, but Han ignores them and walks away. After finishing his work, he went to the arena to face someone named Sue. It was revealed that Sue gathers all the information about his opponent to learn their weaknesses and exploit them. And indeed, as the fight began, Sue started attacking Han's weak points and said, "I know all the counter moves to restrain you." But Han responded, "You seem interesting, but you still won't be able to stand against me." Han dodged all his attacks and struck him back. Then, as he was about to attack, Sue slipped, so Han extended his hand to help him up. However, Sue hit him, opening a wound on his head, surprised that Han didn't take advantage of his vulnerable position. Han told him, only the weak would exploit such situations. Sue apologized and became excited to continue the fight. Then, he launched 12 simultaneous strikes at Han and said, "The pain you'll feel will reach your organs, leaving you unable to stand." But Han remembered his brother taking medicine and struggling. At that moment, Han said, "Don't you ever get tired?" His brother replied, "Life is a battle, and I have to win this fight." Motivated by this memory, Han endured the pain and stood up for his brother. Su then attacked with 72 simultaneous strikes, but Han countered the attack, unleashing a powerful blow that left Su defenseless, ultimately leading to his defeat by Han's overwhelming strength. With that, the scheduled matches for the day ended, but Jin's punishment was still pending. Meanwhile, Jin was still lying on the floor at home. Suddenly, he felt strange sensations, opened his eyes, and stood up. At the same time, the match had already started, and everyone was surprised that Jin had not yet shown up. But then, Jin came running. The announcer declared that if Jin could make the delegate fall even once, he would win the match. Jin approached Kim and said, "Take off your glasses," but Kim tricked him and tripped him. The announcer was shocked and declared Jin the winner. This enraged Kim, who attacked Jin, but Jin struck him with incredible force, surprising even himself. At this point, Kim activated his Chariot power, reaching 2,500 points. He launched relentless attacks on Jin, who struggled to defend himself and was on the verge of losing. Suddenly, other delegates intervened and restrained Kim. Mujin told Kim, "Your salary will be halved for the next 3 months because of your actions," and then turned to Jin, declaring him the winner. Mujin thought to himself, as expected, "He's the grandson of the tiger, Tajin. I can't let him slip away." It was announced that the remaining contestants in the tournament were Han, Jin, Mira, and a guy named Bun. Within a week, Mira would face Han in the semifinals. Mira confidently told Han she would defeat him. But Han asked her not to take the matter so seriously. Jin then joked, "I'll see you both in the finals," but suddenly realized one of them would have to drop out of the competition. As they walked, a car stopped in front of them, and a man got out, asking for Mira's hand in marriage. Later, Mira was sitting with a friend, choosing a wedding dress. Her friend expressed disbelief that Mira was getting married to Seongjin, a strong fighter, businessman, actor, and singer, like a combination of all in one talent. Mira drifted into a daydream, recalling Songjin proposing to her, and having a conversation where she admitted she was just an ordinary student. He told her, "Your swordsmanship is exceptional. I want to polish it and make it shine." Mira glanced at a picture of her father, remembering the day he passed away, and how people blamed his death on his adherence to an outdated sword style. Determined, Mira said to herself, "I must preserve the moonlight swordsmanship." Meanwhile, Songjin met with Mira's uncle to officially ask for her hand in marriage. The uncle was surprised and asked, "Why Mira specifically?" Songjin replied, "I fell in love with her at first sight, and I noticed her swordsmanship is very strong. I want to make it the most prominent style in the world." He also promised to protect her and take care of her. On the other hand, Jin overheard people talking about Songjin proposing to Mira while dining at a restaurant. He went to her house to confirm. Mira was surprised he found her address and found him asking, "How can you give up on your dream when you've already made it to the semifinals?" She told him she was doing it for her dream, and that this was in the best interest of moonlight swordsmanship. She also told him to stay out of it, as it was none of his business, and sent him away. Meanwhile, Jin went to Han and told him that Mira was in danger. But Han, who was at work, told Jin they had no authority over her and hung up. Days passed, and the wedding day arrived. On that day, Mira's uncle felt bad for her. Reflecting on how she was always working at home, never going out like other girls, and refraining from buying clothes to ease his financial burden, he approached Songjin and asked him to cancel the wedding because Mira wasn't happy. But Mira reassured her uncle, saying she would be happy with Songjin as long as he fulfilled her dream. However, both her uncle and cousin noticed something was off. At this point, Jin arrived, and Mira's cousin told him everything. He tried to enter the wedding hall but was stopped by guards. Determined, Jin fought his way through the guards. Meanwhile, inside the hall, Mira was about to walk toward Songjin, who was revealed to be affiliated with the Knox organization. The cult leader had ordered him to acquire the Moonlight Sword, which could control legendary power, and also take the hand capable of wielding it. Jin continued his struggle to enter the hall when Han arrived to help him. Together, they fought their way past the guards. When Songjin saw that they had entered, defeating all the guards, he said, "Looks like I'll have to handle this myself," and attacked them. Han blocked the strike from his sword and told Jin to move forward. Jin tried to remind Mira of her dream, saying she had worked too hard to give up now, and that she shouldn't quit after reaching the semifinals. She attempted to hit him to prevent him from affecting her decision, but her uncle intervened, saying her father wouldn't have approved of this marriage. Jin encouraged her to follow her true desires. Mira remembered her father's words, "Using your skills will enable you to improve your life." She then turned to Songjin and declared that she wouldn't go through with the marriage. Songjin changed his demeanor, stating he wouldn't let go of the Moonlight Sword. Unleashing a powerful energy similar to what Kim used against Jin, he attacked Mira, injuring her abdomen, but she managed to defeat him. Paramedics arrived because Songjin's energy had destroyed the venue, and Mira thanked her friends. Suddenly, Songjin fled in a car, taking the sword with him. But Mira said he wouldn't be able to use it and was happy to be with Jin and Han. Later that night, Han was seen standing in fear outside the room of his hospitalized friend, who had lost consciousness, causing chaos at the hospital. The next day, bullies approached Han to bother him, but he snapped and crushed them. Meanwhile, Jin was running to watch the next match but was shocked to find Han brutally beating Mira in the ring, reopening her wound. Even the announcer tried to stop Han after he had already won the match. Afterward, Han told Jin, "I'll be waiting for you in the finals." We go back in time and see Han arguing with Wu. They were always fighting but would later sit down, talk, and make up. At this moment, Han started to realize what he had done to Mira, and was still unable to process what was happening to Wu. Later, it's time for Jin's match against Bayon, who moves at an incredible speed. However, Jin managed to land a decisive blow to defeat him. Thus, the final match officially became between Jin and Han. After the day ended, Jin went to see Mira and still couldn't understand what Han had done. But she told him, "What happened was because I was weak. Han did nothing but use his strength. Once I heal I will face him again and defeat him." Meanwhile, Han visited Wu and learned that his condition hadn't changed, but he had woken up for 5 minutes before losing consciousness again. The day of the final match arrives, and both Jin and Han are fully focused. Jin wonders if the young tiger will awaken in this match. As the fight began, Jin attacked Han, seeking revenge for Mira. Meanwhile, Han was relentlessly attacking Jin, keeping in mind that he had to win for Wu. However, everyone was surprised that their strength was almost equal. One observer noted that the difference in their internal skills would make the ultimate difference. Yet both were able to dodge each other's attacks until Han struck Jin hard, making him bleed from his mouth. Jin told Han, "I'll make you pay for what you did to our friend," and launched a powerful attack that threw Han to the edge of the arena. Then Jin approached to help him up. But Han shocked Jin by saying, "I never considered you my friends in the first place," and launched a powerful counterattack. At this time, Mira left the hospital and was with her family. Suddenly, she received a notification on her bracelet and felt that one of her friends was there. She went searching and found a woman crying beside the bed of someone who had passed away. It was Wu, with his photo next to him and Han's bracelet beside it. At that moment, Han was putting all his strength into trying to defeat Jin, driven by Mujin's promise that Wu would be treated using nanotechnology if Han won. But Jin told him that Wu wouldn't survive that kind of treatment. Mujin had promised Han that if he achieved decisive victories in both the semifinals and finals, they would start the treatment. Thus, Han mercilessly continued to beat Jin, aiming to deliver a finishing blow. But Jin blocked the attack and collapsed from exhaustion. At that moment, Mujin informed Han that Wu had passed away. We then see Han remembering when he once faced a group of bullies alone, and Wu stood by him. After defeating the bullies, they sat together. Wu had told him, "Your friends won't believe what we did to those bullies." But Han replied, "I have no friends. Everyone who gets close to me just wants something and then leaves." Wu asked Han to trust his friends and said, "From now on, I'll be your friend." But now Han was lying on the arena floor, unable to grasp that he had lost someone so dear to him. Jin, unaware of what had happened, continued attacking Han, who didn't react. Mujin explained that after starting the treatment, they discovered it was too late, and Wu had passed away moments later. Mujin's secretary was shocked that he informed Han of his brother's death before the match ended. Mujin explained that people show their greatest strength in their darkest moments. But Han still didn't react. He remembered what he had done to Mira and also recalled Wu telling him to trust his friends. Mira arrived just then and asked Han to fight with all his strength. She told him that Wu left a message before his death, asking Han to give it his all. She also told him that Jin didn't know the truth, because if he did, he would stop the fight. Han decided to continue the match, because Wu's message expressed pride in Han for doing everything for him, and urged him to see it through to the end. Meanwhile, Mujin was curious to see Jin's true potential by the end of the fight. The two fighters went all out, enjoying the battle, and when Han used his full strength, Jin decided to use his as well, unleashing the dragon kick. At this moment, Mujin said, "It seems we've finally unlocked the young tiger." Jin was declared the winner. He went to Han and told him, "Now you can consider me your friend." Han felt Jin resembled Wu, and Mira joined them, saying she would face Han again and defeat him next time. However, a spectator watching the tournament commented, "I'm bored. It seems Seoul has nothing to offer." We then see Jin Tajin surrounded by members of the mysterious group. They demanded he join them to use his power in the right place, threatening him with Jin. But Tajin told them he'd never join them and instructed his grandson to do whatever he believes is right. The man in charge replied, "You brought this upon yourself." Meanwhile, Jin was curious to learn more details about his grandfather. We find out that the top 3 participants from each region will qualify for the tournament. Thus, a match between Bayon and Mira was set to determine 3rd place. Mira easily defeated Bayon. Jin was thrilled and cheered for her, knowing they'd qualify together. At a committee meeting, Mujin stated, "This time, it's different. Every city has at least one person who could be the key. That's why 3 participants from each city were allowed." The blonde official told him they discovered that the mysterious group, Knox, was behind Sanjin's actions. The representative commented, "This group's activity will likely increase as the tournament begins." Mujin reassured them, saying, "Don't worry, I've summoned the 6. Later, we see an old man drinking tea in a shop. Meanwhile, Jin was excited that the 3 of them would participate together as a team. However, he was disappointed he wouldn't get to fight Mira and test his strength against hers. Mira told him to hurry up because the cars had arrived. As Jin moved, the old man almost ran into him. When Jin turned to look, the man had disappeared. Jin was sure he saw someone about to hit him. We then see the old man, named Jibok, standing on the beach, saying to Mujin, "Did you call me here just to waste my time?" He launched a powerful attack but realized it was just a clone. The real Mujin told him he'd grown old and senile. Jibok replied that he was being lenient only because Mujin was his student. Jibok also said he saw Jin and was surprised he was in good health after eating the fruit. Thus, he decided to take Jin as his student and was curious to see Tajin's reaction to this development. Mujin informed him that Knox had tried to recruit Tajin but failed. The scene shifts back to Tajin, who refused to join Knox and destroyed the surrounding area. However, the leader of the forces facing him unleashed a powerful attack. Meanwhile, Mira was in the supermarket, where she met announcer Shim. He congratulated her on qualifying and told her her skills were impressive, although she had yet to unlock the true power of her swordsmanship. Meanwhile, Han was sitting with Mujin, who told him, "Now that your motivation is gone, I want to know if you'll continue or not." but Han replied that Wu asked him to continue, and he could never let him down. However, he wanted to know about the mysterious power working behind the scenes. Mujin then revealed, that's called Cherryok. Jin, on the other hand, was training to improve his skills before the tournament. During practice, he climbed a tree to retrieve a balloon for some kids, but as he fell, he found Jibok examining his leg. At the same time, Shim told Mira, there are many strong opponents in the tournament, but you need to stay focused to reach your full potential. Mira was surprised by his advice, so he explained that he lost his sight because of moonlight swordsmanship and didn't want anyone else to suffer because of it. On his way home, however, a Knox assassin targeted him. Meanwhile, Mujin explained to Han that these people use illegal means to draw power from another realm to achieve their goals. Elsewhere, two individuals were facing off with a strange power, and the guard on duty couldn't understand what was happening. Additionally, two people were walking together, saying they would reach the top together, when a woman named Jan approached them. As for Jegal, he promised his grandfather that he would win the tournament. But his grandfather said, consider this tournament a test of your strength and give it your all. He also asked the maid to assist him. Later, an elderly man said, I wish this tournament could be a real test for the youth. This man was revealed to be one of the 6 legends, named Jian Jason. Others include Haliang Kim, the elderly Jibok Yunyo Kim, and the 6th being Mujin. The following day, Han and Mira visited Jin at home, and Han explained everything about Cherryok. Jin, however, didn't care about their powers and was determined to crush anything in his way. When the time for the tournament arrived, the participating teams were introduced. Everyone was surprised to see that Shim had changed. It was then revealed that Shim was killed by the assassin, prompting Mujin to comment, I didn't expect Knox to infiltrate us. At the tournament, the first match was set between Team Seoul and Chungcheong Province. One of the officials was puzzled as to why her colleague Q hadn't arrived, only to find out he had been killed by one of Knox's assassins. Returning to the tournament, it was announced that the team battles would consist of 3 1-on-1 matches, with a team needing 2 wins to advance. Jin volunteered to go first, but Mira cautioned him, saying they might use Cherryok. Jin confidently replied, don't worry, I have a new weapon. He then faced Gideon, pressing specific points on his body and saying, I've activated my power points, making my attacks much stronger. Jibok remarked, I taught him that. Tajin's taekwondo is outdated. However, Jin couldn't move and admitted, looks like I hit the wrong points. Jeden then easily defeated him. Next up was Han versus Bongwon, a high school student who was 38 years old. Simultaneously, the killer who attacked Kim was laughing, but suddenly, Kim's card released a clown that attacked the assassin. Kim awoke and said, I'm tired of your antics. In the match, Bongwon was landing heavy hits on Han. Just as he was about to deliver the final blow, Han retaliated fiercely, frightening Gideon. But Gideon's teammate reassured him, saying, don't worry, Bongwon's determination is unmatched. She then recalled how they first met at school when she thought they were just failures. However, after losing a match and nearly losing confidence, Bongwon approached her for support. She was surprised and asked him, how did you return to school after failing so many times? He replied, I dropped out, tried many things, and decided to come back. I don't care how many times I fail as long as I eventually succeed. Life is a journey, and you must face its challenges to reach your goals. Inspired, she became his friend. Meanwhile, Bongwon landed powerful blows on Han and even unveiled his massive weapon. However, Han deflected the attack and destroyed both Bongwon and his weapon. Elsewhere, Kim severed the assassin's arm. However, the assassin said, this won't help you. My Cherryok will heal me. Kim didn't care and wanted to finish him off, but 2 others arrived to attack Kim. Thankfully, his teammate arrived to assist him, saying, I noticed you were late, so I came to check on you. In the tournament, Mira faced Jan in the deciding match. Mira had the upper hand until Jan resorted to Cherryok after her weapon broke. At the same time, the representatives faced a tough battle against the Knox assassins. Mira, however, fought against the immense power with Jin and Han sitting calmly. A nurse questioned their lack of concern, but Jin confidently replied, "We trust her." Indeed, Mira managed to defeat Jan and win the match. Elsewhere, Kim and his teammate were battling Knox's assassins. Realizing the mission could cost their lives, the assassins fled, leaving the original killer, who blew himself up to complete the task. After the match, Han saluted Mira for her remarkable improvement, and Jin cheered for her. Jan, after regaining consciousness, apologized for her loss, but Bongwan comforted her, saying, "It doesn't matter as long as you keep trying. You'll reach your goal." Kim and his teammate were revealed to have survived the explosion. Mujin's secretary reported everything that happened, prompting him to say, "There's clearly a traitor among us. No one should know the representatives' locations." She then showed him a part of the killer's body, saying, "Upon examination, we discovered this is Taijin's arm, leading us to suspect he's been kidnapped." Back at the tournament, Team Gyeongsang Province faced Team North Jeolla. The first match was between Jegal and Jeon. Everyone was talking about Jegal, the heir to a renowned family. However, as soon as the fight began, John utterly crushed him using cherry oak. The maid tried to intervene, but was also destroyed. John mercilessly stomped on her head, leaving everyone in shock. Jin couldn't believe what he was seeing, and Mira stood in front of him to stop him from interfering. Han stepped in to protect the maid, but the announcer stopped him, warning that he could be penalized for his actions. Jegal, however, stood up and said he would win as promised to his grandfather, but Jian showed no mercy. Later, Joj was admitted to the hospital, so his grandfather told Mujin, "Why didn't you disqualify Jun from the tournament? It's clear that if he continues, he'll ruin it." But Mujin replied, "Jun might be the key." Meanwhile in the tournament, Chasugo won his match. The loser apologized to Park for losing, but Park reassured him, saying, "Don't worry about it." Then, Park shared a strategy with Songa, guiding her on how to secure victory, and indeed, she defeated the giant she was facing. However, Mira was puzzled by what was happening, as Chungcheong province was supposed to be much stronger. She became suspicious of Park. Han grew curious about who they'd face next, but Mira informed him he wouldn't face anyone, since he was suspended for his actions. Then it was time for the final match between Gwim and Park. As soon as the match began, an immense power surged from Park, and he struck Gwim with overwhelming strength. Gwim used chariot to counter him, but Park completely overpowered him. At that moment, Jin wasn't surprised by the result, because the insignia on Park's uniform was the same as his grandfather's military emblem. When the day ended, Han and Mira agreed they needed to enhance their power to face the heavyweights in this tournament. Han said, "Anyone can use Cherryok, so we could utilize it too." But Jin refused, insisting he wanted to grow stronger through his personal efforts. He left them, reflecting on Mujin's question about the last time he communicated with his grandfather. Mujin had told him, "We've been searching for him to protect him, but a few days ago we found traces of massive destruction near the forest." Authorities suspected it was an attack from the north, but investigations confirmed it was Cherryok power. "We feared the blood there might be Taijin's." But Jin said, "It seems you don't know my grandfather well. If he was involved in that battle, I'd be more worried about his opponent." Still, Jin was deeply concerned about what happened to his grandfather. Suddenly, Park approached him to greet him. However, Jin didn't warmly respond. Unexpectedly, Park launched an attack on Jin, but he stopped before completing it. Jin, too, refrained from attacking further. Park told him he was just testing him, nothing more. Jin asked about the insignia on his uniform, to which Park replied that he wore it in honor of Taijin. This left Jin shocked. We then flash back to 14 years earlier, where we learn that Park's mother left him with his grandfather after his father's death. His time at his grandfather's training center wasn't great, as he felt out of place among strangers. But one day, Taijin approached him, saying he knew his grandfather and admired him. He handed Park a book to learn Taekwondo from. When Jin learned this story, he asked about Taijin's current state. Suddenly, Park intercepted an attack aimed at Jin from Jun. Park warned Jun, saying, "I don't care if you hate me, but don't come near those who have nothing to do with me." He told Jin that Jun was dangerous and asked him to be cautious. But Jin responded, "It's clear you're dangerous too." They parted ways, agreeing they'd meet again. The next day, Kim stormed into Mujin's office, furious. He said, "How could you let them kill Shim and his family?" But Mujin used his immense power to restrain him, warning he'd deduct the damages from his salary. Later, Mujin's secretary told Kim that Shim's family was safe in a secure location. The ones who died were decoys created with her power. She also informed him he now had 9 months' salary deducted, so Kim wandered the streets, literally searching for money. Eventually, he went to the restaurant where Han worked. There, Han asked him to teach him Cherryok, saying he wanted to grow stronger to help his teammates. He felt that Jin was hiding something but refused to reveal it. Han also promised to bring Kim food every day if he taught him. Meanwhile, Mujin held a meeting, declaring they must stop any attempts to disrupt the tournament. He ordered his team to eliminate any Knox assassins and identify the traitor among them, as they needed to find the key at all costs. The leader of Knox stated they must destroy the key, regardless of the cost, as it posed a grave threat to their legend. We then see Mira training to become stronger, troubled by Jin's recent change. Suddenly, she and Han received a notification on their wristbands. At the same time, Jin reflected on his grandfather's departure, who had left to protect him from his enemies. Before leaving, his grandfather had taken a picture with him. Han and Mira went to Jin to celebrate his birthday after the wristbands informed them about it. They ate together, brought desserts, and joked around. At the end of the day, they promised to win this tournament together. The next day, Jin opened the door to find a letter. Inside, he found a photo of his grandfather, bound and tortured, along with a map. Jin immediately decided to follow the map's directions. He reminisced about the moments he shared with his grandfather. He vowed to do everything he could to return before his team's next match in the tournament. The day of Seoul's match against Jeju arrived, but Han couldn't find Jin. Myra was puzzled, unaware of where Jin had gone. The secretary instructed them to return to the arena immediately, warning they'd forfeit the match if they didn't. She explained that if they won the first 2 rounds, they'd be declared winners. Han mentioned he was suspended and couldn't participate. The secretary replied that Jin must arrive before the second match, or they'd forfeit. Mira declared she'd win the first round. Han left to search for Jin. When Mira stepped into the arena, Park was surprised to see her alone, wondering where Jin was. Meanwhile, Jin followed the map and found his grandfather lying on the ground. In the arena, Mira faced off against a muscular opponent, trying to defeat him. However, his strength was overwhelming, and when she struck him with her sword, it broke. Then he drew his sword and told her that he would show her the true power of swords. At that moment, Han was walking and found Mangwon unconscious, while a woman with a terrifying eye appeared. Mira, on the other hand, was trying to dodge Muscle Man's attacks. She managed to strike him and take his sword, but the sword disappeared from her hand. He told her that the sword automatically returns to the one who acknowledges it. As for Jin, he was trying to save his grandfather and asked him to hold on until he found something to wake him up with. Suddenly, he saw his grandfather's body moving strangely and realized it was a trap, and the whole place exploded. At that moment, someone appeared through the smoke and said, "I've finally gotten rid of you." But Jin stood up and asked, "Who are you exactly?" The man told him to die in silence, and there were many copies of him around. Muscle Man told Mira that they had thought she was strong, but they didn't expect her to be this weak. Han was facing a woman from the Gyeongsang team, But Mangwon was surprised that Han was helping him while his own team was currently playing. Han told him not to worry about it and helped him up. But then Zhang appeared and told Han, everything is about to end. Meanwhile, Jin was facing an army of endless copies. And the one who set the trap told him they would never let him go, because he was the grandson of Taijin, who managed to eliminate a large number of their men. He wanted the copies to finish Jin off at any cost. But Jin figured out that the real Jeju team was there, while the ones his team was facing were just copies. He told Jin that he couldn't leave after discovering their secret. At that time, Mira was struggling but pushing herself because she felt responsible for her team. However, the boy's copy she was facing was so strong that he knocked her unconscious. But then, she heard a voice telling her that she needed to become stronger, and she saw a version of herself greeting her. At that moment, a great power emerged from within her, and the sword in the copy's hand transferred to her. Now, she had the power of Cherryok, and when she used it, she managed to defeat Muscle Man. At that moment, Jin arrived and apologized for being late. Then, he congratulated her for awakening her Cherryok. He went up to the arena and started attacking his opponent, recalling his earlier encounter with the one who tried to eliminate him. Everyone was surprised by his immense strength, and even Jibuk said, "It's clear the tiger has brought us a new one." At this point, we go back in time and see a woman named Sunyan facing Zhang. But he was so brutal that he broke her in the confrontation. When she was taken to the hospital, they told her she might never walk again. This made Park furious, and he beat Zhang up, demanding that he go and apologize to her. After that, Park decided to enter the competition to win and achieve his wish to heal Sunyan. When the match ended, we saw Mujin telling them that even though they fought fake copies, they still won and qualified for the semifinals. But Han asked him who was behind this, and Mujin said that Knox was behind what had happened. At the same time, the boy who wanted to kidnap Jin was confronting Zhang about why he was late. But Zhang told him that he wasn't part of their weak gang anymore and finished him off, then declared that he would take the key for himself. In the competition, we saw that Team Seoul would face Team Southern Jeolla, and Park told his friend Songa that her first strike would determine the outcome of the match. Meanwhile, Mira told Han that he had to win this fight, and she would do everything she could with her new sword. Then the match between Han and Songa began, and it was intense. She managed to knock him off balance and hit him with great force. At this point, Han remembered Mujin telling them that Knox's goal was to eliminate all the strong ones so they could take control of the world. Mujin also told them that Tajin had been kidnapped so they could use his power. When Jin offered to help, Mujin told him that they were still too weak to do anything, but promised them that if they became strong enough, they would help and give them the information needed to rescue Taejin. Because of this, Han managed to block Songa's attack and threw her far away. Park, concerned for her, told her to withdraw since her attack didn't work, but she said she would continue even if what happened to Sunyan happened to her too. She attacked with all her strength, but he blocked her with great force. Later, Han went to Jin and told him, "You're not the only one who needs to win. We all need to win." Mira said that together they could achieve anything. Meanwhile, Sonyan approached Park and told him that what Songa did was right. She asked him to fight for his dream and the goal he had been pursuing from the start. Park said he would do everything he could to achieve his goal. In another place, we saw one of the Knox members, San, eliminating several powerful individuals. When Mujin confronted him, San told him, "I didn't expect you to come yourself. But what you're doing isn't enough. Even the competition, where you're searching for the key, won't get you anywhere. We're one step ahead of you." At that moment, he activated a spell, and a massive sword appeared. Back in the competition, Jin was about to face Park, and each one told the other, "You won't be able to defeat me." Meanwhile, Mujin was trying to counter San's spell. As Jin and Park were fighting, Park started gaining the upper hand, and told Jin that in direct combat, he had no chance. Jin attacked him with great force, but Park blocked it. Jin tried using powerful techniques, but they had no effect. Park told him that his current state made it impossible to beat him no matter how hard he tried. At the same time, San told Mujin that no matter how hard he tried, he wouldn't be able to do anything. His followers started using a spell to summon a monster to enhance the first spell. Meanwhile, Park was beating Jin and telling him that he couldn't believe he was Tajin's grandson. He was sure that if Tajin saw Jin in his current state, he wouldn't be proud. He continued to belittle him, and Jin remembered when he told Mujin he would save his grandfather. He thought about how to stop Park's attacks, then attacked Park again, and realized he could use moonlight swordsmanship without a sword. Elsewhere, Haliang was watching San's spell and Mujin's spell, and he told his followers that they would intervene now to change the course of the battle. Mira couldn't believe that Jin had used swordsmanship, and he said, "I've now overcome one of my weaknesses," as he attacked Park with great power. At the same time, Haliang began using his spell to support Mujin's spell. But Park told Jin that he still had much more to give and could become stronger, to the point where those around them felt he was training him, not fighting him. These were intense moments. Haliang supported the spell in the midst of a battle between the followers and used the national treasure to destroy the spell. Meanwhile, the fiery fight between Jin and Park continued. Jin managed to use a great power and defeat Park. At that moment, Park remembered Tajin asking him to teach his grandson things that would enhance his strength if they ever met. Park said, "It's clear your grandson was born with great power." Suddenly, Park found himself in another place standing before a wolf. Park said that there was no way he could lose. Then a great energy burst out of him, and everyone realized that Park was the key. Then, we learned that long ago, there was a 9-tailed fox who gained great power after training for 1,000 years. However, all the legends felt threatened by his immense strength, so they turned on him and managed to defeat him. But he left his power behind for his successor to avenge him one day. Back in the present, everyone was terrified of the energy radiating from Park, affecting anyone in that world. Even Mujin, upon sensing it, remarked that they now had the upper hand. But San responded that he wouldn't let the wolf's hair discover his full power. Mujin, however, said he wouldn't let him get close in the first place. Jin, viewing it as a challenge, decided to confront Park. But when he attacked, he was shocked by Park's overwhelming strength. Even though Jin's arm was severely injured, he refused to give up. He charged again, but Park hit him even harder, telling him not to try because he wouldn't stand a chance. At that moment, Jin was confused about what was happening. Suddenly, Park seemed to be in pain, but when Jin asked, Park shrugged it off and continued fighting. They both traded blows, and Jin realized they were now on equal footing in terms of power. Han was amazed that Jin could continue fighting despite the massive energy coming from Park. Both fighters then charged at each other with all their strength, but they were both able to endure it. Park acknowledged Jin's immense power, but said the fight had to end now. He launched a powerful attack, but in that instant, Jin awakened his Cheryoke, allowing him to overpower Park. He unleashed such a tremendous force that it affected the entire world, even reaching Jiggle in the hospital. Park, astonished by the energy he felt, decided to use all his power to finish Jin. However, despite his efforts, Park couldn't stand up to Jin's newfound strength and was ultimately defeated. Han then came up to congratulate Jin on his tremendous victory, and Mira praised him for awakening his Cheryoke. Meanwhile, Mujin couldn't believe that the wolf's hair had been defeated, but San was intrigued by the sudden surge of energy and decided to take action to deal with it. Mujin then instructed his assistants to protect the key. Later, at the hospital, Park's friends were amazed by the strength he showed during his fight with Jin. At that moment, Park expressed his hope that he had fulfilled his promise to Jin. Suddenly, Jin entered the room, tossing a talisman at Park, and checked on his condition, joking around with him. However, when their playful banter escalated, Sangha told them to stop acting like children, because they were too old for that. Park then told Jin to rest, noting that Jin's energy must have been drained from their intense battle. But before that, he sent Sangha and the other friend to fetch something for them. Park then asked Jin, "Was there something you wanted to talk to me about?" Jin replied that he wanted to ask about his grandfather, explaining that he didn't know much about him and had to win to gather information and rescue him. Park told him that he now understood what had motivated Jin to unleash so much power during their fight, but warned him to be careful because Jong would be his next opponent in the final. Jin then recalled Jong's immense power. However, Park assured him that no one could defeat Jong except for him, urging Jin to do everything in his power to make Taejin proud. At this, Jin asked if they could have a rematch after the tournament, and Park agreed. At the same time, we discover that Jiggle had left his hospital bed, wandering through the hospital, saying that he hadn't lost yet. But his hand looked strange. When Jong saw him, he remarked that the energy had clearly affected Jiggle, though he didn't want to waste time dealing with him. However, Jiggle landed a powerful punch on Jong, shocking him and forcing him to flee. But just then, the servant girl appeared, and Jong restrained her before finishing her off. However, some strange things emerged from Jiggle, covering her. While Park and Jin were chatting, the entire place suddenly exploded due to the ongoing battle between Jong and Jiggle. Jin was shocked when he saw Jiggle, who now looked like a monster, and was absorbing everyone around him to increase his power. Jin rushed to stop him from absorbing Park's friends. At that moment, Jong attacked Jiggle, telling him to stay away from his prey. But Jiggle released a flood of strange things, covering the entire area and putting everyone in danger. The servant girl rushed to Jiggle, trying to calm him down and reassure him that she was okay. However, Jong destroyed Jiggle with a single powerful strike. In the aftermath, everyone was injured due to the attack. Park's friend lost his arm, and Sangha lost her leg. Park couldn't believe what he was seeing, realizing that history was repeating itself. Meanwhile, San made his move, opening a portal from which many strange beings emerged. He intended to use them to eliminate the key. But the key was enraged by what had happened to his friends, telling Jong he wouldn't let him get away. Jong taunted him, saying this was just like last time, except now he was stronger and Jin couldn't do anything about it. However, Park struck Jong with such force that he sent him flying off the building, holding onto him to finish him off. Mujin was observing everything, and announced that the high school legend tournament was over. The portal San opened released the legend meant to destroy the key. The kids watched the portal, not understanding what was happening. Meanwhile, the servant girl was crying beside Jiggle's body. Jasang declared that he would avenge his grandson, even if it meant dying in the process. We then flash back to see that someone had adopted Jong, taking him away from his mother due to his talent, telling him that he didn't care about blood ties. His great skill made him worthy of becoming his heir in the future. We also see how Park had once beaten Jong up, demanding that he apologize for what he did. At that time, Jong's father told him that anyone who blamed their loss on excuses would always be a loser, but those who succeeded were the ones who addressed their own shortcomings. That's why Jong allied with San and took a great deal of power from him, promising his father that he would become strong enough to be worthy of being his heir. Back in the present, Jong attacked Park with all his might, trying to finish him off. But Park, remembering what had happened to his friends, summoned a massive energy of vengeance and destroyed everything in his path. Meanwhile, Sonyeon went to see Sangha and was shocked by her injuries. Kim and the others were fighting off the monsters that had appeared everywhere, alongside the delegate. At the same time, San told Mujin that it was too late, because the legend he had summoned would destroy the key. But Mujin warned him that what he was doing would destroy the entire world. San simply responded, "That's exactly what we want." Meanwhile, Mira and the others, still confused by what was happening, saw Park mercilessly beating Zhang, not giving him a chance to fight back. He pummeled him just like he had done in the past. But Zhang remembered his father telling him that anyone who fails multiple times is weak. He then declared, "I'm not weak," and attacked Park using his chariot, extracting the key from him. Zhang then tried to claim the key, but a massive battle ensued over it. In the end, the key ended up in San's hands. However, Jin struck him and took it back, while Mujin continued trying to hold off San's spell. We see a leader declaring that he will break his alliance with Mujin, as their defeat is as clear as day. So, he sends numerous aircraft to bombard the place with missiles, aiming to eliminate all the threats and everyone there. At that moment, Mujin says he needs the key to defeat San, but his secretary tells him that the army has bombarded the area with many missiles. Meanwhile, monsters were about to attack Mira and San, so Mujin used a spell to teleport them all to a forest for their protection. However, they were surprised that Park wasn't teleported with them, and Songa fainted from exhaustion. Hun used his chariot power to trap her and her companion in a healing water bubble. Jin was able to find Park and used the moves taught by Jibok to stop his bleeding. But he also found Sunyeon, who told him that Park had said he wanted Jin to become stronger so he could defeat John. At that moment, Park regained consciousness, and when he saw the key with Jin, he told him he must hold on to it because it contains immense power. If John got hold of this power, he could destroy the world with it. But suddenly, they heard a huge explosion. All the news were talking about a giant, unidentified object that appeared in Seoul, forcing everyone to evacuate due to the destruction it was causing. Meanwhile, delegates were fighting monsters, but the creatures managed to defeat the representative's dragon. San approached Mujin and told him he couldn't destroy his spell. In the forest, John confronted the group, asking them about the key, but Han told him he had no idea what he was talking about. However, John questioned them again, threatening to eliminate them if they didn't answer. Han thought to himself, he must be looking for the thing that came out of Park, and Mira felt that something terrible would happen if he got hold of the key. So they decided to stand against him and try to stop him. Later, when Jin was looking for them, he found them lying on the ground, and John demanded the key, saying Jin couldn't hide it. But Han told Jin to run away because John was no longer in control of himself. Jin got angry and asked John why he was doing this. John replied that his power allowed him to do whatever he wanted with anyone and demanded Jin hand over the key. Meanwhile, in the city, people were fleeing, witnessing the missiles raining down. Mujin was trying to stop the legendary power, but San was attempting to prevent him. Jibok and Halion stepped in front of San to help Mujin, but they couldn't withstand the spell's immense power. Suddenly, the legend began attacking the city, but then, everyone in the area vanished. Simultaneously, Jin was facing John with all his strength, asking him to surrender the key. John could block all of Jin's attacks. Mujin found himself and everyone in Seoul transported to another location, and they realized the only one who could do that was Jizan. At the same time, San expressed disbelief that Jisan had managed to transport everyone in the blink of an eye. Jisan explained that he used alchemy to do it, and was seeking revenge for his grandson. Jisan then dismantled all the missiles, and combined them into a single rocket, which he used to destroy the barrier San had created, blowing up the entire city. The explosion even reached Jin and John in the forest, and Jin was confused about what had happened. But suddenly San appeared in front of him, asking for the key. John grabbed Jin, took the key, and absorbed it into himself, declaring that now he could defeat them all. His appearance changed, and he vowed to make them regret standing against him. Jin was stunned, unable to believe the immense power of the key. But Mira told them they had to retreat because they couldn't handle him. Besides, Sunyeon and her companion wouldn't be able to hold out much longer. John attacked them, and was able to deflect Mira's sword strikes with just his hand. He even tried to bind Jin, but Jin told him he'd make him regret everything he'd done to his friends. Jin recalled when Jibok told him he could control infinite power, or incredible speed, so he attacked John with immense speed. Han and Mira supported him. But after giving it their all, they found that John was unaffected and was launching an attack on them again, telling them this was their end. However, Han blocked the assault and told them to escape. At that moment, Jin found himself in a different place where someone told him they were ready to protect him. Suddenly, something strange happened, leaving everyone in shock. San was stunned when he realized Jin was the guardian of the key. But John didn't care about the power everyone felt and said he would finish off Jin. He attacked Jin with all his might, but was shocked by Jin's strength. John then summoned his monsters, but Jin managed to defeat them. Jin attacked John again, and though John tried to strangle him, Jin repelled him using the Key Guardian's weapon and swiftly struck back, landing powerful blows on John. Jin delivered a final blow, causing a massive explosion around them, but John refused to be defeated again. However, Jin gathered immense energy that left John stunned and struck him with a colossal lightning attack. San couldn't believe what had happened, so he decided to retreat with his group members. Han and Mira approached Jin, still amazed at his tremendous power, but then saw him collapsing, complaining of extreme hunger. Suddenly, Jin started feeling severe pain because of the mark on his forehead. Meanwhile, John, who had gotten back up, was trying to seize the power Jin had. But the cherry oak shattered his body into multiple pieces, turning him into a huge monster. He launched a powerful attack on them. Jin tried to summon his weapon to save his friends, but he was too drained of energy. Just then, Park appeared next to him, telling him he could rely on his friends at this moment. Mira and Han joined him, and they started fighting John together. Their coordinated attacks were so synchronized that they managed to destroy John's limbs. Then, they helped Jin launch a powerful strike at the monster. But the creature was able to block the attack. At that moment, Ji-san intervened and trapped the monster. Jin gained the upper hand over the monster and intensified his attacks. After everything was over, the monster began to consume John, but Park grabbed him, trying to save him. However, John told him to let go, saying he didn't deserve to live. He then vanished with the monster, becoming a part of the key. Elsewhere, one of the girls who had been kidnapped was walking through the place she was held until she found a large gate in front of her. Later, a woman arrived with the group, holding the kidnapped girl. She said the girl had awakened her 2 weeks early, but was surprised to see the city destroyed. She remarked that it seemed like Mujin had failed in his responsibility. Jin asked her who she was, and she struck him, saying he needed to learn to speak respectfully. She revealed that the high school legend contest's purpose had been fulfilled, and that they were the only survivors from all the teams. She then introduced herself as Kim Onyu, one of the 6 heroes. But they had no idea who the heroes were. Kim was annoyed that Mujin hadn't told them about them, and she said she was the strongest person connected to this contest and was here to grant one wish to the winners. Jin asked to see his grandfather again. Mira said she wanted to rely on herself to bring the Moonlight Sword art back to global recognition. Han also said he would achieve his dream on his own. They urged Jin to use the wish for himself, but Jin requested that Kim heal his friends and restore their lost limbs. Kim did so, and Park was overjoyed when he saw Songa standing on her legs again. After that, Jin asked Kim if she could find his grandfather, but she told him she couldn't reach the bodies of the dead. Jin was shocked, but she told him she sensed a faint life force from his grandfather, making him happy that his grandfather was still alive. Jin then collapsed, having exhausted all his energy. 3 months later, Halion told Jibok that surely his feelings must have been stirred after learning that Kim had returned, especially since she had rejected him multiple times. Jibok got angry and started hitting him. Meanwhile, Mujin said that the path to reform was long, but he wanted to take advantage of the changes that had occurred to dominate the upcoming presidential election. Jin woke up after the 3 months, feeling extremely hungry, and found Han and Mira had prepared food for him. When he asked about Park, they told him that Kim had said he was the key guardian and must gather the scattered pieces of the key from around the world, because this power would allow him to stand against any evil, no matter its size. Mira told Jin she had felt the same power from him as she did from Park. Jin said he didn't remember anything. Han told him that Kim had said his memories were sealed after what happened, and that to unlock them, he would have to go to the country of Seoul Taizi. Jin was excited to go there, seeing it as strong training for them. So they decided to go together. Jin vowed to find his grandfather, no matter what. At the same time, Jin's grandfather was being held captive by the Knox organization, who planned to sacrifice him to summon a new legend. But Taejin confidently said that Jin was strong and would be able to defeat any legend, even one supported by his power.